Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is not your typical Tuesday. We have been working on this picture by Monya Gates with pan pastels. I have sprayed it. We have completed what we're going to do with the pan pastels. Now I'm going to show the rest of this because not only can you use pen pastels to color an entire picture, but you can also color over top of pen pastels. So we're going to go through and we're going to add some color to this with the Prismacolor Premier pencils. Now, as you all know, Prismacolors are not one of my favorites. Um, they are definitely not a go-to pencil for me, but I have promised to use them for the month of March with Monya Gates. So the color I'm using here is green ochre. I'm going to switch you over to the close-up camera here and turn on the light so you can actually see what I'm doing. And all I'm doing is going in to those crevices that have been covered up by some of the pan pastel and made a little lighter. So we're just darkening those up again and going through and giving our shadow areas our shadows back. Putting a little bit of depth in the picture. We should be finished this picture today, so fingers crossed that all goes well. Alright, I'm going to turn the picture a little bit here. And as you can see, it goes right over top without any issues. So if you do color a picture in pan pastels and find that it went a little dull in areas that you didn't want it to go dull, you can either erase it and add a darker color into that area, or you can do what I'm doing here and just go through with your darker colors and re-add them. Just giving that definition back to the piece. I'm going to need to sharpen this pencil. And I'm just giving the shadow areas back to the picture, following Monya's lines. And you can do this with black, but I find that going with a darker version of the color that you already have down works a lot better. Stands out a little better. Okay, I'm going to sharpen this because we're going to do all the cracks with this pencil. Now, as you all know, Prismacolors are not my favorite pencil, but I have been using them a lot more this month than I normally would, and I'm not doing too badly with them. You know, I am not the best with the Prismacolors because I'm not used to using a lot of wax-based pencils. And I must say, I have completed quite a few pictures with them, and I'm not doing too badly. I am starting to understand the smush and how to use them. Let's just say they're not on my hate list anymore. Though I don't know if I would be using them more or less in the coming months or years, but I will say that they do the job quite well and have been doing the job quite well on all my pictures. So I think I'm starting to get a better understanding of them and the best way to use them, if that makes any sense. Again, I'm just going right over top of the pastel. I have sprayed this so that I can color over top of it. I sprayed it with a workable fixative, as you saw, as I showed you last week. Now, if you don't have a workable fixative, you can get that at Amazon, and I will put a link for that in the description below. But you can also use, a lot of people use hairspray as a fixative. I'm just trying to turn this so that I can get into those crevices better. Hopefully I'm still on camera. Just getting into those deeper, darker crevices here. Darkening them up. And I'm leaving a little bit of this one open because it's supposed to be a little lighter there. Okay, and then we're going to come down here. And then into here. And then we'll work on the flowers and the bug as soon as we get the crevices done. I'm not going to worry too much about making sure that the colors I've chosen for the open areas is correct, because I got a really good saturation of those colors, so I'm not too concerned of that. But I am going to extend that crack out a little and shadow it a bit. Like that. And right down the center, we're going to put in that dark area. And you're off camera. There we go. I hope. There. Now you can do this with any pencils. It doesn't have to be the Prismas. I'm just using the Prismas because A, it's not your typical Tuesday, and B, it's Monya March, and I have been requested to honor Monya with using the pencils that she uses. So that's what I'm doing. Okay. And then this area here, we're going to do heavily darkening it up. going to do the same thing down here and darken this area up. Put in those shadowy areas there. Like so. Basically, we're just putting those lines back in that Monya had already had in there. That were covered up by the pen pastel. Alright, once we get to the floral areas, we'll be brightening up a few things as well as adding in the edges that were lessened a bit, that were dulled down by the colors we chose. Just getting into those crevices there. As you can see, it has given the definition back to the piece. Alright, almost. Okay, so that's the big areas done. Now we're going to finish up over on this side. And this one here. And then we're going to fill in this with some shadow here. Get those shadows in there. Make sure I'm still on camera. Because, yeah, I have a tendency to drift off into Netherland. That's our shadows there. Okay. Alright, so I think I'm done with the darker color here. So now let's start on our trying to find the right color here. No. I think it's this one. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of color to some of the areas that are in the depths here. And give a little bit of definition here. Basically, what we're doing is we're covering up a little bit of the brown that got onto it. Not worried about all of it because, you know, it's going to get a little bit of dirt, but we don't want anything major. So we're just cleaning up with that light sky or cloud blue. Cleaning up those edges. Making sure that all the edges are... Oh, that's the wrong one. That's alright. We'll be fixing that. Because that's the wrong one. I forgot that is a part of this one. So I'm just very gently taking my eraser and lifting off that pencil. Don't do it too hard because you will lift off your workable fixative and your pastel. Which will just make a big old mess. And this one here is going to be brighter. And this is basically, you know, what I find works very well for if I'm coloring something with pan pastel, and I find that it may end up dulling down the color that is supposed to be there. Like the definition that's supposed to be there. Because sometimes using a very light color like this over top of ink with the pan pastels will dull down that ink a bit. So we're just putting a little bit of that definition back in. All right. And we're not putting a huge amount on there, just enough to breathe life back into our little areas. We're almost done with this cloud blue. And now we're going to take a deeper blue, and I'm going to use the turquoise blue, and just very gently go in to the shadowy areas. Really, really gently going into these shadows. I'll blend it out here in just a minute. Alright, I think that is it. Just trying to make sure that I give some definition to the leaves back, or the petals, I should say. And then we'll just blend them in. Alright. Okay, now we're going to take our, I think it's this one, magenta, and we're just going to darken up that magenta shadow there. And I'm just darkening it up down at the base, lifting my hand as I get deeper into the petal. Because we don't want to completely take over what we've already put there. We just want to enhance it. And the best way to enhance it is just to re-establish those shadows. This one here is magenta, which is 930. And I'll be doing the same thing with the other one, just with a deeper green color. Let's see. And as you can see, it just enhances it. It just brings that edge back to life. Trying to be careful not to draw over something else. I'm doing it fairly dark at the edge there and just feathering it out. And next, just going around the circle here. Now this part here is covered by that other leaf, so I'm not going to do a whole lot there. I am going to go just gently around it a little bit there, just to show the difference between the two. Now this one here is buried under that area there. Like so. Just trying to make sure I get all of the lines fairly even. and blend it into the pastel colors. We're going to just blend that in a little bit. Like that. Because this one is quite cupped on this side, and it's a new leaf, we're going to give it a little bit more of the pink. And we're going to take our blue, using that cloud blue again, just to give a definition to this leaf here. Petal, leaf, whatever you want to call it. Same with down in here. Not putting a whole lot of the pink in here. Alright, and there we have the enhancement of that one all done. So that's how that's going to look. Alright, now for this one here, we're going to do the same kind of enhancement on the flowers. Just giving them a little bit of definition in the bottoms. And around the edges. Now the one thing about Prismas is they do not like to stay sharp. So I'm going to use the Verithin. And I'm going to sharpen it really, really, really fine because these flowers are tiny. So I'm using the magenta Verithin here. I'm still using a Prisma, so it still counts. Because I want the definition to be there. The Verithin is definitely a great way to go if you're using a softer type of pencil. Like I said, I'm just putting it back in the definition of the flowers. like so. And I think after we finish up with these flowers, I'll show you the base here. And that sort of thing. Try to get some greenery done here. I think our little bug is doing well. I think it's just this greenery here that we need to give a little bit of love to. So I'm going to take the grass green, and we're going to go up the shadow edge here. Just giving that shadow just a little bit of extra color there. Trying not to completely overtake the color that we already have. Unless you don't like the color we already have, and then it's perfectly fine. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white, if I can find it. There's my white. And I'm just going to put that highlight back in. Like so. Okay. And there we have our flower back. Now we're going to do the same thing with the thing here, but we're going to use a different green. I might have to pull the, yeah, no, the marine green will work. So I've got marine green here, and I'm just going in to the deeper areas. And putting those shadows back in. You know what? I think I want peacock green. Just had it. Where did I put it? Yeah, there we go. I think I want peacock green. Yeah, that's better. That's better. So this is peacock green. And for this one here, we're going to go back over it with the gray-green light. And give it back its green tone, because we've erased it a few times. And like I said, you could end up erasing the tone that you put on with the pen pastel if you're not careful. So now I'm just going to add this green. So I'm adding the peacock green here, and I'm just going to spread it out. Putting that color into the whole area. Like that. And I think, oh, this one. Yeah, there we go. That's better. I was finding it was too white. So now I'm using the pale sage. So I'm just going over the highlights with the pale sage. Making sure that all those areas that have a little bit of that dirt coloring is taken care of. And you don't need to do this. You don't have to do this. It's just something I find enhances the picture quite a bit. But it still looks wonderful even just with the pan pastels or with the pastel pencils or whatever pastels you're using. I just wanted to show the difference and how it enhances your picture if you just add a slight bit of colored pencil to your work after you've got the pastel down. Just make sure that you remember to do your spritzing, your fixative, before you start rubbing your hand all over it or coloring on it, just because it does have a tendency to smudge if it's not fixed in place. And you can just end up smudging the entire thing right off your page. So I'm going over top of the peacock green with the sage green, with the pale sage, and just dulling it down just a little bit, making it into more of a blue-green color. She gives it that little bit of a chalky look for, I guess not chalky, what is the word I'm looking for? Words are hard. Plastic kind of look, you know, that glossy kind of look. If that makes any sense at all, I would be amazed. Because, like I said, that's not really exactly the word I was looking for, because my words are escaping me today. Alright. So we're almost all done here. Just going to finish up this plant here. And then I'll switch over to the other camera so you can, oh, wrong one, so you can see what I've done and how it looks after it's been enhanced. I need a little bit more of this here. Alright. Now if you find an area that you want to have just a little bit darker, go over it with your pale sage and then go back over it and just gently blend it in with the pale sage. Like that. The light's catching that weird. Alright. Just gonna finish working on these here. We're almost done, guys. I promise. Now, as you can see, there's an area here at the bottom of this one that needs to be a little bit darker than the rest. So I just put down the sage, and then I go back around in those shadow areas, darken it up a little bit, and then go back over it with the sage, spreading it out. over here. We're just going to spread it out. Darken it up again a little bit, leaving that really dark part there, and spreading out the rest of it. I think you're getting the idea. So basically, the reason for this video was to show that you can, in fact, do an entire piece in pastels and then enhance it with colored pencil right over top of the pastel. You do, however, have to remember to spray it with a bit of a fixative, just so that you don't rub your hand on your piece and remove the pastel. Now, if you're really careful, you can do it without a fixative by putting a piece of paper towel under your hand and gradually moving the paper towel with you, just trying hard not to put a lot of pressure on that and not dragging it across the page. Because if you drag it, you're going to have some issues. Just trying to get this dark area here. This one here has quite a bit of dark area. Alright. Spread it around. And then reestablish a little bit of it. Like so. Alright, so we're almost all done. So tomorrow is our Wellness Wednesday, and we will be live, and we will have a special guest. Amanya Gates will be joining us for our live stream tomorrow. We do have a nice giveaway, and she's going to be coloring with us and answering some questions and just hanging out, just having some fun. So if you want to join us, make sure you ring the bell and enjoy the show, because what's better than Monya Gates? Well, I just love her work, so. And for all of us that are fans, yeah, it's really kind of exciting. Monya is such a lovely person, though. It's like having an old friend. Come and visit. And we got to support our artists that draw all the wonderful pictures that we color. Because, you know, that's just what we do. Without them, we'd be bored. And I must say, without us, they'd be bored too. So it's a mutual street of encouragement and endorsements, I guess. Right. I'm almost done here. Sorry guys, didn't mean to spin it like that. Just trying to make sure I get all of the underside of this grouping of leaves here, because there's a few of them there. And then just remember, if you're going to use Prismas, the harder you push, the more opaque the color, and you can end up washing out all your other colors if you're not careful with how hard you're pushing on your pencil. I don't mind it on this because I'm trying to wash out that color a little bit, blend it in to a color that I wanted. That fits this cacti a lot better. Like so. And then we missed one right there and right there. Completely missed one, but we fix it. And that's the great thing about this is even if you miss one with your pastels, because I completely missed that with my pastels, I can re-establish it with some colored pencils and it's no problem at all. Add a little bit more for that shadow. And drag it out a bit. And there we have it. Alright, I'm going to switch you over to the main camera here so you can see how it looks after we've enhanced it. So with the enhancing of it, we have re-established our lines here. Just missed one. So that we can see where all the plant life is and all of the parts of it. So, all right, so that is all finished, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this process, enjoyed the stream of videos that have come to this. I love this picture. I think it turned out very, very nicely. And the enhancements of redoing all the cracks puts the dimension back into the piece, as well as putting the shadows and everything back into the cacti. With that, I would like to say thank you all very much for watching. Of course, join me tomorrow as we will have Monya Gates come visit, and we will be coloring Leandra, which is a free page on Monya's website, on her Facebook page. So make sure that you go and download the picture and print it off and come color with us. We will really enjoy it. She will be coloring with us as well, which is fantastic. All right, guys, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any channel that you watch, including my own. It does help us out not only with our own self-esteem, but with our analytics as well. Yeah, and finally, be kind to one another, and always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Until next time, guys, bye-bye for now.